if you want to immigrate to Canada, there are only two types of people who can actually charge you a fee. The first one is a Canadian lawyer. That is a lawyer that's registered in one of the provinces, not a lawyer that's just sitting in Canada and they're not a Canadian lawyer, or a lawyer that's outside of Canada. The second type is a RCIC, which means Regulated Canadian Immigration Consultant. They belong to the Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council. And you have to be able to spot the scams or the fraudsters or some other odd characters in the industry who try to take your money. And this does happen a lot. How do you know if you're being tricked? If the person you're dealing with is guaranteeing you something, then this is not something that's allowed by the council. It's also a requirement by the council that when we advertise, we must put the ICCRC logo in any advertisement that we have. So you see that I will put my logo there along with my name and my membership number. Having said that, I know a friend that has had his name put somewhere else in some fraudster's website. So how do you know whether that is actually him? You need to check. You can check whether the person is an RCIC by going into the ICCRC website. In Public Register, you type in the company name or the person's name or the agent's name to see whether the person is actually registered. If you find that when you do a search, nothing comes out when you enter that person's name, the company's name, or the agent's name, then you know that something's wrong. You need to be careful as to how money is handled. The RCIC is not going to ask you to put money into an account that's not under his name or his company's name. In fact, in most situations, if the money is substantial, that would be directly deposited into a designated account that ICCRC actually knows about. So be careful of who you deal with and how you deal with the situation. One of the things you should understand is that this has been taken out of the context of Canadian lawyers. That means that the RCIC is actually acting in a function that a lot of the Canadian lawyers would perform as immigration lawyers. Therefore, you really have to ask the question if you would actually ask a non-lawyer, a non-registered consultant, someone that's not licensed to help you do legal matters. Another clue that you're going to have is to examine their ability to communicate in English. The newer generation of RCICs had to have an IELTS score of 8777. That means listening is being an 8 and the rest of the score is higher than 7. Therefore, if you run into someone that has questionable English communication skills, it is possible that they cannot help you out in terms of case law. And then there's also, if you make an appeal, they might not be able to represent you. Furthermore, if that particular person asks you to lie, which means misrepresent your case in order to obtain immigration, and if you're caught, misrepresentation would ban you from Canada for a period of 5 years. And after that 5 years, you'll have this in your records. When you reapply, it would be noted in the system that you lied. Now, this does not only apply for Canada. For other countries, the harmonized system will see that you've applied to another country, you have misrepresented yourself, and you'll have issues with other countries other than Canada. Lastly, an RCIC is not going to find you a job that you can purchase for the purpose of immigrating to Canada. Once they find out that you've done this, you will lose your permanent residency, or if you've obtained citizenship, you lose that as well. These are well documented in case law. Therefore, be careful with scams and be careful with whom you deal with.
Sponsored by Sunny Bay Immigration. Sunny Bay Immigration helps you immigrate to Canada.